Welcome back, baby, for the last episode of the Northern Steel podcast for the season, episode 41. Give it up, give it up. Give it up to us, give it up to you for listening to us for a whole 10 months. I was gonna say year, but I was like, it's not a year. It's close though. We're coming off our 4th win in a 4-game win streak. Our 9th win in total against the hated Cleveland Browns. And it feels good. It felt great to get the win. Unfortunately, like we had just said, this will be our last podcast of the season. The Steelers did not make the playoffs. They did not get the help they needed from the Jets and Joe Flacco. Surprise, surprise, shocker. And instead of getting to watch Kenny Pickett and the Steelers try to do something against Buffalo, which, let's be honest, probably wouldn't have been great, everyone gets to watch Skylar Thompson do nothing against Buffalo. So, thanks, NFL. Honestly, the whole 7th seed's pretty trash anyways, TBH. However, that's besides the point. I think things are in a good mood, Chris. I think things are looking great. And if you happen to miss our victory over the Browns because you were too busy returning all the Christmas gifts that you shoplifted this season, let's get you up to speed right now. Steelers driving on their first drive are faced with a 3rd and 8. Kenny rolls to his right, throws it back, and finds Deontay Johnson wide open. He makes a man miss. He's heading for the end zone. Come on, DJ, get that touchdown. Turn on the afterburners. But he stopped just short of the goal line. And then after a series of depressing events involving a non-challenged touchdown and then a fumble by Najee, the Steelers have the ball again later just to show off some speed from Steven Sims. But yes, you guessed it, a jet sweep. Have these been working lately? Yes. Do I want Matt Canada fired? Yes. But more on that later. Now the Browns have the ball. Deshaun, the sexual assaulter Watson, is scanning the field for his next victim, probably, but TJ Watt just appears behind him without his consent. An ironic situation for Deshaun and sacks him for a loss. Thank you for your bravery in stopping this criminal.
And with fire in his eyes, Kenny Pickett stares down the Browns before he snaps the ball, hits a play action as he fakes the handoff, rolls right and makes a marvelous throw to Zach Gentry as the skyscraper himself takes the ball to midfield. Later in the drive, Pickett is under pressure, and he does the old, oh God, oh jeez, as he quacks a throw to Jaylen Warren, and with some nifty moves, Warren just picks up the first down and extends the drive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where tears start to form in my eyes as Kenneth Big Ween Pickett delivers a snipe to George Slightly Bigger Ween Pickens over the middle of the field for a touchdown. Over the middle, just like I dreamed. Miracles can happen. This continues to trend of what is hopefully to be the Pickett to Pickens connection.
Under 2 minutes left in the half, Browns have the ball. This is what the Browns paid Watson for, and he delivers a $230 million guaranteed interception to Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's clear he was worth every penny, and you can guarantee I'll be happy for the next however many years for how big of a colossal mistake this was for the Browns. Sit down, you bum. Now it's time for the better quarterback to show you how it's done in a 2-minute drill. Kenny throws it deep to George Pickens, of course, who just manhandles Emerson like he's his father, just like he did earlier this year, which will lead to a field goal. 10-7 at the half. Now it's time to watch the superior running back tandem. Jaylen Warren takes the handoff to the right for a huge gain, punishing defenders for a 20-plus yard gain. And then Najee catches a pass in the flat, teaching these little boys that they're going to have to try a lot harder to tackle Naj. He picks up 10 yards easily, making the Browns brown their pants in the process.
And the Browns are faced with a 3rd and long, and this is when Watson makes me sick, as he continues to force his balls into other people's hands, as DeMonte Kazi intercepts the ball. Ew. Yuck. At least ask for consent, Deshaun, but oh well, we'll take it. Later off the turnover, we hand the ball to Najee motherfucking Harris. As he punches up the middle, he presses the O for spin button and moves and gains the ball about 8 yards. But he ain't done yet. Najee later gets the handoff and plays the classic game of how many Browns will it take to bring me down? The answer? You ain't got enough on this whole damn roster as he punches the ball into the end zone, putting 6 on the board. Steelers up 20-7 late in the third quarter.
Browns have the ball again. Deshaun takes a snap, looking around for an excuse, a receiver, but he's sacked by Larry Ogunjobi by the face mask. There is no flag, but do you think I care? I'll give you 24 reasons why I don't. Later in the quarter, the Steelers' defense just relentless in getting what they want, something Deshaun should be in jail for, and he's sacked by Alex Highsmith. Pay this man. Steelers had the ball, and Kenny Pickett throws the ball to George Pickens again, just outmanning his defender Emerson for the clutch first down. I'm excited to watch these two achieve greater heights next season. Then later, with a 3rd and 8, Kenny finds Connor Hayward deep down the middle for a huge first down. Great throw, great catch. And let me tell you, I wasn't sure about Connor at first when I drafted him, but this boy can play. Then with a 1st and goal, the Steelers put a dagger in the Browns with a handoff to Derek Watt for the touchdown. Can we talk about on the last week of the season in which JJ announced that he's retiring, TJ gets a sack, Derek gets a touchdown, and even JJ gets a couple sacks. That's special. And you know what? No touchdown for Deontay Johnson this year, but that's okay. He gets the 2-point conversion here on a perfect pass from Kenny Pickett on the fade route to the corner, making the score 28-14.
And what's not shown for explicit and legal reasons, I'm getting informed, is Deshaun Watson getting sacked twice. And on a family-friendly highlight reel such as this, why would they mention his... What was that? Oh, you mean sacked by 2 Steeler players? Ew, that's even what? Oh, sacked as in tackled? Not as in his own... all I can say is really this. The final score, it's a bit symbolic. 14, representing the dollars in cap space the Browns will have after signing Deshaun Watson to his ultra-high guaranteed deal. And 28, the amount of cases Watson had against him and the number he wears combined. 24 and 4, 28. What a sham. And with that, I say, good night, the Browns.
And good night to the 2022 NFL season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting 3-7, finishing up 9-8. Not too shabby. They got the winning record that they wanted. They some things to look forward to, some good things, Chris. So let's talk about the Browns game first, huh? I think over these past 4 games win streak, even though some of these games we didn't score until the last drive by Kenny with his heroics. This is like the most fun I had all year, for sure. And that last game was pretty fun, too. I didn't feel as worried. We were at my son's birthday party, and there was a sense of relaxation a little bit during it.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, looking at the year, I think this was the very first year, and granted, the Steelers always did play their part in giving us a heart attack every single week, but I felt a little more chill. I felt like expectations were a little bit lower. You know, obviously before the season started, you know, I was like, we have a mobile quarterback. This defense is boosted up. We're going to do super well. Seeing how it started, my expectations lowered a bit. And then seeing how we ended was just more promising than I think sad that we missed the playoffs and everything. Overall, yeah, I think the season was a really fun to watch. It might not have been ended the way that some of Yinz wanted to, but I'm very, very happy with it.
It probably was the best way to end it. Obviously, Chris and I have said this a billion times, like a broken record. We never cheer for the Steelers to lose. I always want them to win. I'd rather them be in the playoffs because I love watching them play, even though we'd probably get destroyed by Buffalo. But this probably is the better result, to not get destroyed by Buffalo again, to not have the narrative of Tomlin has lost 4 or 5 playoff games in a row, giving up 40-plus points, to just take our loss, but we're ending the season on a win, and just take what we learned and go into the offseason. I will say that However, the Steelers being in the playoffs at the 7th seed would be way better than the matchup that we're getting this weekend. But I digress. I still think it was great. The whole season as a whole wasn't necessarily fun, but it was different. It was we knew going into it we didn't have the high expectations of a Super Bowl. We barely had expectations of playoffs. I don't think we really had that at all. And it was kind of about watching players' performances and how people do and how they're going to step up, especially Kenny Pickett, because we're all excited to go from one franchise quarterback to another, and hopefully we found one. And right now I have a good feeling we do, but it's still early. We'll still wait to see what happens with that. But above all, I would say positive vibes right now.
I agree. It's very encouraging. Everything about it. And I wanted to make sure that this was just said, granted, I think every year the expectation is to always be the team, hoisting up that Lombardi. But, as far as a quote unquote rebuilding year, I'll take a 9-8 record. Are you kidding me? I think that's super cool. And just we saw our weaknesses. We saw where we could build. Let's do that. Let's see what we can do. Maybe, and I know we'll talk about this later, but where can we move? How can we move forward from this? So very exciting.
It's also great beating Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Couldn't be happier for that team to lose and for that team to suffer for as long as Deshaun's on that team. And then some. Mm-hmm. That was great. Felt no remorse for any of the bad plays he did or all the sacks that he got, which was awesome. Minka ending the year with 6 interceptions, which is great. Tied with the league lead in picks. Kind of low for a league lead, to be honest. But tied with the league lead. First time a Steelers player has led the league in interceptions since Mel Blount in the 70s. I know you may be thinking, well, Paul Muller got 7 one year. Well, he didn't lead the league that year. Somehow, some way. I don't know how.
Crazy.
Najee Harris ran the ball a lot better post-bye. He looked like a stud out there. If we can get that for the whole season next year, that'd be great. Kenny getting some confidence towards the end through one pick, I think, after the bye. That was all he threw. Kept the ball. Protected the ball well, threw some touchdowns here and there, especially when it mattered most. Had 4 game-winning drives this season, which is the tied most for a rookie in a rookie season. George Pickens looked great. He was as exciting as advertised throughout training camp. Pat got hurt in that game, but he'll be all right. But we got to see a bit more of Connor Hayward. That dude can play. And that's exciting to think about 2 tight end sets potentially with them, or just the way they use them in general. I think the smartest thing Matt Canada does is the way he uses Connor Hayward, because he puts him sometimes in a fullback slot or in a jet sweep or tight end down the middle.
Yep.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, talk about an absolute win. Too, with Connor Hayward as well. I think everyone was just doubting him from the very start. Oh, it's Cam's little brother. It was the only reason why we picked him up there, and honestly, he contributed to some of our biggest moments throughout this entire season. He picked up crucial first downs. He kept the ball moving. He got us involved in a lot of different ways. And he, honestly, if I had to put one player out there from this last season, as far as sure hands go, you're going to throw it to him. He's going to catch it. Obviously, I think Pickens comes to a lot of people's minds because of the absolutely insane and nasty, catches that he had all year. But honestly, I would put Connor Hayward right up there. When the ball was thrown his way, this dude made some insane leaping grabs. He's skying up there, just absolutely towering over defenders. Not at all what I expected out of this guy who was drafted as a fullback tight end hybrid. You just don't see that out of those guys. So it was just really cool to watch him. And I think he's going to play an even bigger role on this offense in the years to come.
Yeah, he plays with no fear, and he plays bigger than what he is. And yeah, I've definitely enjoyed watching him play. His brother Cam finishing with 10 sacks again on the year. Had a big resurgence late in the year. Showed up a lot more in these past 4 games. Alex Highsmith, 14.5 sacks this year, which is really great. TJ Watt had 6 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
6.5? 6.5 sacks this year after missing a bajillion games. Things are looking. Cam Sutton looks like a solid cornerback. Things are looking really great. So it was awesome to beat the Browns. It was awesome to end the season on a win, and now we look forward towards next year. Before we look towards next year, Chris, I think if people are listening and they're wondering, hey, why do you keep saying this to the last episode? Well, what Chris and I decided to do is we love football. We love watching football. We'll be watching the playoffs, of course. I'll watch the Super Bowl. But our passion is the Steelers. And we're not going to be able to fill a 30... I don't even know if we'll be able to fill a 30-minute show talking about other teams because I don't really care enough about them.
I think it'd be really quick.
I analyze them. Yeah, it'd be very, very quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break throughout the playoffs, and we're going to come back the week before free agency starts, which is the first week of March. Will be the week before free agency, which is only like a 2-month break from now. So it's really not that long.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take a little break. But we will give you some predictions of the playoffs. We'll give it to you right now. What do you say, Chris?
Let's do it.
Let's see. Okay, so in the first game, Miami at Bills. Who you got?
Well, honestly, I think we have to take into consideration how
No.
excellent.
No.
What are you
Don't
saying?
BS me.
What do you mean? I mean,
Don't BS me.
I really don't know what you're trying to say here. All I was going to say is we have to take into consideration how excellent and amazing Skylar Thompson did at beating the Jets.
No.
Fine, Bills by 100. Is that what you want? Is that the answer that you wanted?
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Bills by 75?
The same result, different game. Bengals at Baltimore. Baltimore at Bengals.
All right, so I think we need to put into consideration.
No.
Listen, if Lamar was playing, that would be a good game. Yeah,
totally.
This dude ain't playing until he gets a payday, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, also, did you see his update, Chris?
No.
He
What's his
updated
update?
everybody today. Okay, so what Chris is saying, not to cut you off, Chris, but we have talked about how we think, or maybe other people think, that Lamar is purposely not playing because he wants the paycheck and he's not getting it from the Ravens. He's probably going to be gone at free agency. Here's what he had to tweet today, 3 hours ago. He said, "Thank you, everyone, for your support and concern regarding my injuries. I want to give you all an update. As I'm in the recovery process, I suffered a PCL grade 2 sprain on the borderline of a strain 3. There is still inflammation surrounding my knee, and my knee remains unstable. I'm in good spirits, blah, 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 blah. I'm not 100%.
Interesting.
So use a health guy. What does that mean to you?
I mean, a grade 2 to grade 3. Grade 2 is a partial tear, and then grade 3 is like a complete tear. So if it's at that point in his injury, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it makes sense why he's been out. And if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if he undergoes some sort of surgical procedure in the offseason. Or heck, like, now's the time to do it. Maybe they're seeing if their backups can beat the Bengals, and they're like, "Are you sure you can't play, Lamar? Are you absolutely sure? Like, we'll brace up your knee, we'll do whatever." But I wouldn't be surprised if in the news we see some sort of surgical procedure coming his way.
I mean, that's what he ends his tweet by saying he's hopeful he still has a chance to play this year, but he's probably not playing this week. So the backups would have to beat the Bengals. But sorry, Lamar, that's not happening. I'm picking the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals too.
Then you got Chargers at Jaguars.
Just because, okay, so just because I have been a huge Trevor Lawrence fan and supporter this whole season, and I think the Jags now, since they have all of their absolutely douchey players off of their team, I'm a full Jacksonville believer. So I could see Jackson. Realistically, I could see this game going either way. I'm going to pick Jacksonville for this one.
On paper, if all teams are healthy, the AFC has a great slate of games. But unfortunately, the Bills-Dolphins game sucks. The Bengals-Ravens game sucks because of the injuries to quarterback. This game, surprisingly, the best one on the weekend, Jaguars and Chargers. I'm also picking Jaguars just because I'm trying to manifest something. I like them. Just everything that Chris just laid out, I like them more as a team. I hope they win. Nothing against the Chargers. If they win, then I'll root for them in the next round, probably. You know, either team can go on, but I hope it's the Jaguars. NFC, Seahawks and Niners.
Okay, so this is, I hope, is going to be a way better game. I think Geno Smith deserves every part of that comeback player of the year award. He's been lights out and actually brought a team which I thought was going to have 4 or less wins on the season to a playoff spot. And get this, he also beat Russell Wilson's record for most passing yards in a season as a Seattle in his first year.
That's nuts.
That's absolutely crazy. We're talking the kind of career Russell Wilson had in Seattle, and Geno Smith comes in year one and beats that. You just don't do that. So good for him. Good for you, Geno and the Seahawks. I'm going to pick San Francisco. Their defense is just way too insane. I don't know if they'll go far because Brock Purdy's young. He's been really good, but also, like, it's playoffs. You're facing whole new teams. So I'll pick them for sure this week. We'll see how next week goes.
I'm also going to go San Fran. If there's any Steeler fans listening, this may sound blasphemous and really bad, but I'm rooting for San Fran. And I know what that means. I know that means if they win the Super Bowl, that's another team tied with Pittsburgh to have 6 Super Bowl wins. I know. I get it. But come on, you guys. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Could you imagine winning the Super Bowl? That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL's fixed anyway, so it might just happen. You never know. But I'm going to go San Fran in this game. Then you got Giants at Minnesota. What you got there?
I'm going to go with Minnesota. I mean, I think it's going to be a close one like it was earlier, but I think Minnesota will squeak this one out.
I am too. I'm also going Minnesota. The thing that scares me is the game is not at noon. So sorry, Kirk Cousins. Hopefully that doesn't bite you in the butt, but we'll see. But I'm going Minnesota for now as well. Then you got Cowboys at Buccaneers on a Monday night. Ew.
Yeah, so I think that this one will be interesting because obviously you got Tom Brady, who is the playoff king himself. Granted, the Buccaneers just have not looked good. I think Dallas will take this one the first week, but I don't know if I'm a firm believer in Dallas themselves. So, yeah, let's go Cowboys week, first round of playoffs, but bye-bye, Tom. Maybe he'll retire. Who knows?
I'm going to go Cowboys as well. Even though Tom Brady's 7-0 against the Cowboys. Then in our next round, since we picked all the same games, we would have Jaguars and Chiefs in the divisional round.
Oh, so we're going to go no, I'm kidding. We're going to go Chiefs with that one. I feel like I don't even have to reason.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I will cheer for the Jaguars in that, but I'll go Chiefs. Then you got Bengals at Bills, the game that never was.
So I'm actually going to go Bills for this one. I think Bills have a lot to play for, especially after the DeMar injury. I'm glad he's doing better, by the way. That's super uplifting.
Yes. Very great.
I also heard he trademarked "Did we win?"
Yes.
Which is really cool. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills.
I'm as well. I went for Bengals the regular season. I think the Bengals probably would have won that game, but I'm going to go Bills in this one. Divisional Cowboys at Eagles.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think with Jalen Hurts healthy in the matchup that they had last time, with it being so close, I think he'll be the difference maker, and we'll see the Eagles top the Cowboys.
I'm going to go Eagles as well. I'm then divisional Minnesota at San Fran.
I'm sorry, Minnesota, but you have a high-powered offense, but I feel like defense always wins in those battles, and San Fran's number one, and they have been all year, so San Fran is going to be going on to that next round.
You might have had a chance, Vikings, if you would have held on to that number 2 seed, but unfortunately you lost it. I'm going to go San Fran as well. So I pick the same games again, Chris. AFC Championship game. Maybe this is what will be different for us. We got Bills at Chiefs.
Okay, I think this is where it will be different because I was just kind of thinking about this now. Normally, I think the answer I would choose would be Bills just because they do have a lot to play for, and I think they have a lot of motivation going their way. However, since they played earlier in the year and then the Chiefs fell to them just barely, Andy Reid is too good of a coach to not make adjustments and to do something. It's going to be a close game. I hope it's a close game because it'll be fun. I do think the Chiefs will top the Bills on that one.
Logically, I do agree. I think the Chiefs would pull this game out and they would win this, but because I'm manifesting a Buffalo win, I'm going to go for Buffalo.
Sure.
And then NFC Championship would be Niners against Eagles.
Okay, so this is where the fall of Brock Purdy happens. I'm going to go Eagles in this one. I said before, and I'm kind of contradicting myself, Eagles are very high-powered offense, and then San Fran with their number one defense. However, Eagles also have a really good defense, and that might be really challenging for the rookie QB. So I'm going to go Eagles.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm manifesting a Niners win in this, but I'm not. I'm also picking Eagles. I think the pressure's too big for Purdy there, but we'll see what happens. Then in the Super Bowl, you've got Chiefs against Eagles. Who you got the winning there?
I really don't want it to be the Chiefs, but I'm also like not wanting it to be the Eagles. Like I feel like if I had to pick between the two, I guess Chiefs. Just because I feel like if Pat Mahomes is gonna win like 4 anyway, he might as well get another one under his belt. So
Juju.
I'll pick. Yeah, and it would be cool for Juju to get a ring. I think he's a hell of a player and definitely deserves it. So I'll go Chiefs.
And then for mine with Bills and Eagles, I'm going to go Bills as well. Just trying to manifest that entire miracle run for the Bills. 0-4 in Super Bowls, finally getting a win here, which would be great. So that's our playoff prediction for you since we're taking a break, and we'll check back in March. We'll talk about that briefly, probably. We'll just say, hey, here's who won. And that was cool. Or hey, here's the one that sucked. But that's what goes from there. Chris, what do you... Is there something you want to talk about next?
Yeah, so I figured since we're obviously done with the season, there's a lot that happened in the year, and it's kind of good to just have a recap of where I feel like the team ended, and then just kind of move on from that as far as what we could do with re-signings, coaching talks, things like that. But here I have the both offensive and defensive team rankings of where we finished. And I think it's kind of interesting because we watch the games. There's a lot of emotion. You see, you think of more bad on defense than you think of good, and then you think of more good on offense than you think of bad, right? I feel like whenever I think of our team, I try to always imagine the great plays Pickett had rather than the lacking of yards and things like that. So without further ado, our offensive rankings for the 2022 NFL season, in yards per game, we finished 22nd, which is actually a little bit higher than I thought it was going to be. I think we had a strong rushing game at the end, which is kind of what pulled us higher up into that, but we were definitely bottom 10 in that, maybe bottom 5 before that bye week. In passing yards per game, we were 23rd, which I also thought was higher than expected, but it's definitely like middle stone and definitely room for improvement. In rushing yards per game, I feel like this is something that was extremely low but hopped up. We were 16th. So we exactly...
Right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. Really not bad. Najee had a huge change in character and game style play after the bye week. I think he was hurting, dealing with his injuries early on. And then being able to establish that switch between him and Jalen was huge for us.
Yeah,
you know,
very huge.
I think that last span after the bye, as a team total, I think we hit over 100 yards each week.
I think besides against the Ravens, where Mitch threw 3 picks the first time. I think it was the only one.
Sure. And Najee was hurt for that, right? Like he had his abdominal thing.
Well, towards the end, but he only had like 40 yards rushing, and we like threw a bunch in that game.
Sure. And then for points per game, come to no surprise, we were 25th. So pretty abysmal. We have lots to say about that, but let's move on. Defensive rankings, yards per game. We were 13th in total yards per game given up. So definitely on the top half of the league, which is good. In passing yards per game is a little rough. I think we definitely came into the swing of things again when we went on to that streak. We, again, 18th for that. Not terrible, could be better. In rushing yards per game, this was exciting. We were in the top 10. We were at number 9 in rushing yards per game. Yeah, so that was good. And then that's where I was saying you don't really think of it. I feel like you always think of negative plays on defense rather than the positives. And after coming from last season when we were dead last in the run, huge improvement. Getting those guys.
That's great.
Massive. And then finally, again, hitting the top 10 with points per game. We were number 10 for points allowed. So definitely an encouraging step. I think the things that we need to focus on, again, are obviously improving our secondary, which you and I said from the very beginning. They have played a lot better as of late, but obviously you can always improve off of that. And then, keep building that defensive front and getting those linebackers involved. So
I think another team stat that you didn't read there, but I'm sure it's on there, is interceptions on the team was tied with first in the league with 20.
Yep, 20 interceptions tied with San Francisco.
Which is really, really good. I think it's been a long time since the Steelers have been first in the league. I'm not sure where their sacks are at. Obviously, way down this year compared to the past 4 years when TJ Watt's been helping that number, and since he's hurt, so obviously that number is way down. But they were able to pick that up when he came back. That's a great basis of where to go from here. So let's talk about real quick next year about kind of, and when Chris and I come back early March, the week before free agency, that's going to be a way clearer picture about what team acquisitions could look like for us, because a lot of the cuts, or not a lot, but a good amount of cuts will happen. Our cap will be way different by March. Maybe some coaching changes happen. Yes, Chris, what would you like to say?
When you finish up what you're saying, I have an idea to address the next segment.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it now, or do you want to finish what you're saying?
Sure. Just do it. Just whatever.
As you all know and love, every week when I was preparing to tell you the keys to the game, and you all loved it, and I got numerous text messages and social media DMs saying, please keep doing it. Well, I thought, what a great way to end it, end the season for us, than to announce the keys to the offseason.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. When we figure out all the information, we'll be able to dial it in more. But I can kind of gloss over it. And if Chris, if you have any additional things that I miss, feel free to speak on it next, but here's something that I would like. I would like to see Matt Canada fired. I don't really care about other people's positive. I don't care about other people's positive opinions about it. That means you, Ben Roethlisberger. I don't really care about people. I think he needs to go. I also think that it's silly that people are saying that it would hurt Kenny Pickett's development to get a different offensive coordinator. I think it hurts his development to have Matt Canada as an offensive coordinator. I think that the offensive coordinator has changed for Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert after the rookie years, and then look at them blossom after the rookie years. So Kenny's a smart guy. He's a good study. He can figure out the new offense. That's probably the biggest coaching change I'd like to see. I mean, there could be more. As far as offensive coordinator, if they do fire him, I'd like them to hire outside of the program for once. But who knows if that'll happen. If more people get fired, if Danny Smith retires, hire outside. But we'll see. Like we said, I think Tomlin's a great coach, but I think they need to have better assistant coaches than to actually do the coaching. Terrell Austin, it's hard to describe if he did a good or bad job because by your defensive rankings that you had, especially in a year missing TJ Watt for 11 games, pretty good actually. Did pretty good.
Yeah. I was going to say. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say to touch up on that is like I totally agree. Looking at those defensive rankings and everything. Terrell Austin came in with his first year and actually did really well. Sacks were very low. Maybe you can contribute that to the injuries that we had, especially with our all-pro linebacker and defensive player of the year. But at the same time, like to be top 10 in two categories and then like in the top half for the other two, really not a bad year. I think it was very important having Brian Flores as that defensive assistant. I know I've seen a lot of people being like, should we get rid of Terrell Austin and promote Brian Flores? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think so. Like, especially looking at the numbers, if I hope Brian Flores doesn't leave, that if that's what we're asking, I hope he stays, but he definitely deserves a bigger coaching job and role, I do believe. But like, maybe let's look into next season and see how our defensive rankings go when we beef up our secondary, and then when we beef up our, front seven or something like that. Like, who knows?
Let me tell you. First of all, Brian Flores is. I will be very, very shocked come March if he's still on our roster, still on our coaching staff, because I don't think he's going to come back and stay with Pittsburgh because he's got already opportunities now. I'm hoping it's not with the Browns. He's interviewing there today, but he has opportunities to go coach somewhere else right now. The only way he would stay on our team is if we fired Austin to promote him to DC. But I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily. As far as team needs, okay, I know we spent all last year talking about the offense. We need all these things. We need better linemen. We need better weapons. I mean, think about we lost last offseason Ray, Juju, James Washington as receiver, and in the middle of the year, Chase Claypool. Now we have Deontay, Pickens, Calvin Austin, who we haven't got to see play yet. Sims, Boykin, maybe others. I don't know if we still have Anthony Miller. Maybe DJ wants to leave. I don't know. We're not going to talk about that until that actually happens. I think it's still good to improve the line a little bit. Left guard, potentially a tackle as well if there's a stud there, like in the draft or free agency or whatever, what have you. But I almost feel like we have a really great core of playmakers in the offense. They just need to get better as players. But I trust in them as players to get better. Does that make sense? I'm not looking to improve any positions there. If you want to add a skill player, sure. If you want to add another lineman that is improving it, or for depth, sure, right? But I think defensively is where you need to start adding people. Like Chris had already touched on, cornerback is a huge one. We do not have a cornerback one on this team. Cameron Sutton played solid. He deserves to get paid this March. Levi Wallace played solid. Both guys are great number twos, but they're not going to be great number ones. That's just my opinion. I am sticking by it. They're not going to be able to shut down Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or A.J. Brown. They just won't. We need a premier number one guy. Hopefully we can get that in this offseason, or someone to at least kind of look like the part, Defensive alignment, like Chris said, the front seven, that needs to be stronger. There's a lot of times this year where Highsmith and Watt, when he came back, were pressuring the quarterback through the sides, and the quarterback would just step up the middle and fire a pass because there's no pressure in his face up front. We don't have a true defensive tackle. We still haven't found a spot to replace Tuitt. We did draft DeMarvin Leal last year, but I'm hearing reports and people are speculating that he's too much of an in-betweener with his size and his weight, and that he might be switched to outside linebacker. Great to have an outside linebacker depth. Sucks because we scouted DeMarvin Leal last year as a defensive lineman. If he doesn't play as a defensive lineman, that sucks. Larry Ogunjobi played well for us. He is a free agent. Maybe we sign him back. Maybe we don't. The defensive lineman needs help. Cameron Hayward, old. Okay? Who knows what we're going to do? There's free agents out there. Javon Hargrave, Yannick Ngakoue. There's people in the draft to go after. Defensive lineman, I think, is a huge part, as well as inside linebacker. Inside linebacker is a huge thing to go for. Miles Jack, we are super, super excited about him. He played okay. He did have 100 tackles, but he wasn't amazing. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't great. I don't think he caused a turnover this year. Devin Bush played a lot better than last year, but apparently not good enough. Chris and I are in the opinion that he should stay. I don't know if he will. Robert Spillane, Chris and I don't like him. He's probably staying. But if that's our starting linebacker to that, yikes. You got Mark Robinson. Great game against the Ravens. Terrible game against the Browns. He's really raw. He's really not great right now. He has some great plays against Ravens, but he's just not good. He's raw. Maybe he can work on that. Maybe he gets better. Who knows? Inside linebacker is a poor position right now for us. Maybe we get Tremaine Edmonds. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was just going to say, let me save you a little bit too, because I know a lot of people take things out of context. Cam Hayward is old, but we mean more of like, we don't know his longevity. Like, he still plays at an elite level. He's still easily our best guy, whatever. It's just like, we don't know how many more years we're going to be blessed with his ability. So, like, yeah, we definitely need to be upgrading that line in any way possible. And you listed a lot of key free agents that are going to be dropping. I just did the count. We have 23 free agents that are going to be hitting next year. 23. That's a lot. Okay.
A lot of them are going to go.
A lot of them are going to go. Personally, the ones that I would like to keep and re-sign, who I feel like deserve another chance, I would go with Larry Ogunjobi. I think he's done a really good job. He definitely improved our run stopping ability, and I feel like he came on as of late, which was really, really good. Another one I would do is Cameron Sutton. Dude's got to get paid. He had an unbelievable year for himself. We got to keep him around. I'll go with the ones that I feel like are obvious. Terrell Edmonds. I can't believe I'm singing this tune after how I felt about him his first few years. But he has stepped up, man. And, he's so reliable and always healthy. I'm glad he's on our team. So I think keeping him around is good and not spending buco bucks for a strong safety that's out there. Another one I think that will be interesting would be DeMonte Kazee. I mean, I liked him. I know he was out for injury, but he had a couple key picks there, throughout the season, and it was kind of fun watching him and his play style be incorporated into our defense. So he definitely contributed to our number one interceptions for the season. And then I think those are the musts. Personal reasons, I would like Zach Gentry. I really like Gentry on the offense. I think James Pierre for depth. Wow. I do not feel that way about you, James. I think James Pierre for life. There you go.
Nice. Good save.
For depth would be a good one. And then as far as things go, like Marcus Allen has been good at special teamer. And then Derek Watt, just for, maybe, and he did fine too. It was
his most productive year for Derek Watt this year. It was the most productive year he had.
Yeah, I totally agree. Otherwise, Mason's gone. I think Devin Bush should be gone. Well, iffy on that one, actually.
I don't think he should be gone, but he probably will be. I think Mitch is going to be, and there's a lot of players that are probably going to be cut that we can't Chris and I can't say for sure, but like, if you want to like take a guess, like you just said, Mason could be gone. I think Mitch could be gone, could be cut. I think Gunner
Mitch is
could be
definitely
cut.
gone.
Yeah, I think Gunner could be cut. I think there's some other. Oh, Miles Jack could be cut potentially. There's a lot of people out there that could be cut to like help our cap room out, help our cap space. Again, that's why Chris and I, when we come back in March and we've seen the cuts that have taken place, the way our cap's different, and we kind of know what we're working with, we can give you guys our wish list of what we want the Steelers to do in Omar Khan's first free agent offseason. And hopefully it's a good one. But for right now, we just don't know. But surprisingly, I think our biggest needs are defense. And I think if you can make that defense tight, make it strong, it puts less pressure on the offense, it lets them play. And I just hope the offense just improves. And I think they can. They can play better as long as the coordinator's different. I'm just saying. Just saying. Anyways, Chris, one last thing I want to talk about is Chris and I have been doing our own pick'ems this year. We pick the game every week in the NFL, and because the Bills and Bengals game, which we had different picks on, never played, Chris ended up beating me 183 to 182. Now, we had talked about a punishment in place. Chris and I are trying to brainstorm some punishments. I think he's got some good ones or whatnot. But I think what we'll do is we'll probably make like a Twitter poll at some point. We should do it soon, though. And try to figure out a punishment and have people vote for it. And that's going to suck for me. Because the punishments I've already been thinking about between both of us, I don't like any of them. But that's the point of a punishment. Yeah. So with that, we will thank you so much again for listening to us through 42 actually episodes, because we had a bonus episode in there. Thanks for listening through all these episodes, staying with us for this year. Kind of an up and down year for us, but I don't know. We had fun, Chris. I know we don't have a lot of listeners, but I had a good time, and I think I'd like to give it another go, another year, see what happens.
I don't know about you, but my agent already sent in my contract and I signed it, so I'm ready to go for season 2. I'm locked in. Yeah.
All right, man. That'll be us. We're gonna be signing off. Thank you so much again for listening to the Northern Steel Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Grubhub, on RuneScape, on Pornhub, on Omegle, on OnlyFans, on Chuck E. Cheese Rewards, on
Finder.
Yes, on
GoDaddy.com.
There it is.
That's a throwback.
I like it. You can find us all there. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys in March. Chris, do you have any last words to leave the people with for 2 months? Something crazy.
You guys.
Something unique.
You guys, I just got to say from the bottom of my heart, go Steelers. We'll see you next season.
Woo! Adios. Peace.
Peace.